Hey guys, how's it going? It's Nick here once again, as always. And I am currently in the beautiful Chiang Mai University campus park. And today I really want to talk about why you're not starting and how you can help that. So I know that there's a lot of videos out there in terms of personal motivation, in terms of how to get started, like skills, tactics. I want to have more of a personal touch on this where I talk about the reasons why I think people are not getting started based on the experience that I got from my YouTube channel feedback. People that comment, people that reach out to me on Facebook. And then I also want to relate it to my personal story because I think that there is a lot of points that are being glanced over, you know, in terms of what I've done and how I got to where I get to be today. For example, number one is, I think the biggest overarching theme is that people think that they're not good enough or that they don't know enough or that, you know, that guy, let's say, put an arbitrary number because everybody loves, you know, a nice round number like 10K a month, right? Profit from their online business. You think that because that's what I used to think as well, as you think that, man, well, that guy did it because, you know, he got lucky or he had certain advantages or, you know, he just kind of, he's smarter than me or he's more able than me or he just has a better, you know, investment. I can tell you that that's just your brain playing tricks on you because I was in the exact same position. The second ever video that I made, which is my most viewed video, is how I went from 30K debt for OSAP, which is the Ontario Student Loan for Education, to how I transitioned into making, at the time, 10K per month profit. And I know people love those like glory stories, you know, like zero to hero kind of thing. And I can tell you back at those times, in that story, in that video, I mentioned the lowest point probably of one of the lowest points of my life, but the most recent one where I always start the story from is I was in a fraternity dorm room, around 30K of debt. It was Christmas, everybody left home, so it was pretty empty. And it was just me, a bottle of cheap white wine, and like my laptop. And there was just like a crappy desk and like just a mattress on the floor. And you know, that's where I started from. That was like the starting point. And you know, back then, like watching any kind of YouTube video about like, hey man, I'm living in Chiang Mai, you know, or like you should move to Chiang Mai and start like freelancing, it just seemed like such a far away thing that like, man, I can't even like make ends meet here. Like I'm thinking of getting like a part-time or full-time job rather than thinking about like, oh yeah, I want to move out to Chiang Mai and start making like $1,000, $2,000 a month or something, right? It was just so far out of my understanding. And what changed that was I went a little bit backwards. I went a little bit practical. Around that time, you know, my friend Ryan and we were both pretty damn broke, and then, you know, we just wanted to make $1 online just to see if it's possible. So we signed up for Fiverr. We each made about 10, 15 bucks. We went out, we celebrated, but like, that was possible. That was like a first step, and psychologically, like it did something to me where I thought, you know, okay, this is possible if you break it down in a long enough timeline, if you put in enough hours of work and you read the right things and you actually execute on what you learn, you can pretty much go as far as you want to go. And for us, it started with a door-to-door business, which I also mentioned in the video. It was basically a door-to-door sales job where we basically just didn't know what we wanted to do. So we went door-to-door asking people like, hey, we're students, we're looking for work, what kind of, you know, services do you usually hire people for? You know, there was some roofing, there was some pavement laying or like driveway pavement or car cleaning. But one of the big ones was eavesdrop cleaning and window cleaning, and that's something that we've had experience in before. That's something that, you know, we also like to do. Previously, it was a fun summer job, so we're like, heck, let's start our own company. So we pre-sold a bunch of clients, and the rest is history, as they say. I speak in depth on that in that second video that I ever made. But the thing is, like back in that fraternity, when I was sitting there, like starting was or just even having, I think that's the big problem really here, is that you're not thinking of starting, you're thinking of the finish line before you even start. And that, I think, is what's really screwing you up, because that's what was screwing me up. once I started thinking like, okay, I just want to do some research on this Amazon FBA, and I just got super curious. Part of it was procrastinating for midterms and exams, of course, but I just got super curious about like, okay, well, how is these people making money, you know, selling products online? And then I started researching Amazon FBA, I started watching YouTube videos, and like eventually I hopped into, you know, bought a Jungle Scout. It just came out at that time. I started analyzing listings. I started, you know, really rough. Like I was spending hours a day not really finding anything, and it was a bit discouraging, but I was just like having fun. I was enjoying the process. I kept the finish line in mind, but I kept grinding away at, you know, just day by day, like, okay, what do I really need to do? What's the first step? You know, just, okay, let's try finding a product, or like, let's just figure out the process by which you can find the product. Not necessarily even find it, but just like, what's the process look like? And that kind of gave me this idea of like, you know, always ask yourself 2 questions to check in with yourself, which is, what's the end goal? What's the next step? So like, where are you trying to get to? What's the next thing, the next step that you can do to get, or to be on the path towards that? So I kept asking myself, and you know, the end goal never changed. It was to be in Chiang Mai with my friends, making $5 grand a month plus in profit. The end goal never changed, but until I got it, of course. But the next step changed. So the next step at first, it was, you know, find a way to search for products. Then it's like, okay, I have kind of a reliable system and a reliable criteria of what a good product looks like. The next step became find 5 good products. Okay, I found 5 pretty decent products. You know, the next step became, you know, deep dive those products, you know, look at how you can improve them, how you can make them better, and so on and so on. And then the supplier, and then the order. And honestly, like day to day looking at it, I really don't feel like I was doing a lot. If anything, there was a lot of procrastination involved. I mean, I started researching September 2015. I didn't pull the trigger until December 2015 on one product that I found, which I already knew that was going to be the product, but it was about a month until I sent the deposit. And that product, because of Chinese New Year, it didn't arrive until April 2016. So all in all, it's about 8 months since I started to, like, you know, the very end. The thing is, like, you're not worried about starting. You're worried about the end goal, and it seems like such a Goliath, and you see it as this like huge inevitable, but really it probably takes about 30 minutes a day if you want to do it a day. But it's really about just sitting down and starting, because in my personal experience with a lot of my friends that I've gotten into Amazon that I'm helping out right now, it's more about just sitting down and just like committing to just like 10 minutes of product research, and you get so caught up in it. Like you start getting ideas everywhere. It's just like, just start with 10 minutes, but have the next 20 or 2 hours available, for example. And I think that those 10 minutes will just suck you in, because it's so interesting, especially if you have a system, which is something that I'm working on right now, to present like a coherent system by which you can actually do the research itself. All it really takes is just you getting started the first 10 minutes, and then if you don't like it, get up and walk away. You know, but I can almost promise you that if you have a kind of like a step-by-step or like an instruction, like a rough guide on how to do, you know, the system of product research, not necessarily I want to find a product, I want to find a system, or I want to use a system, then it becomes a little bit more fun. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to come up with that kind of system to give people so that they can get started. Another reason why people don't start is because you keep telling yourself that you don't have enough time because of school, or because of work, or because of children, or families, and that's a legitimate excuse, but I think you have to more worry about the flip side of it. And I think this was actually a big point that kind of kept me moving forward, is that if the flip side is like, if you don't start, then you're kind of giving permission for others not to start. Even, I guess, in some people's minds, worse is that you've started, you've done it for a month or two, and then you stopped. And the direct example of that would actually be this YouTube channel. I started it in July 2016. I kept going really hard with the videos until like early 2017, like actually December, so like late 2016. And then I kind of go look at all my videos. 2017 might have maybe 3-4 videos of it. And now I'm kind of trying to revitalize it and get back to it, because I needed to step aside from it, or walk away from it, to realize that no, it's actually something that I really enjoy. And it was just those little moments where it's like, I should make a video today, but not doing it, and like not powering through that is what really accumulated this big behemoth. And so I kind of gave myself permission not to do that. And then I think in turn I saw my friends, some of my friends that also do you know, YouTube or content creation, whenever we would talk, their progress would also slow down. And now that I'm like pumping out more videos and actually trying to just talk about something relevant and, you know, give some sort of value, I'm noticing that their content is also slowly going up, and it has to do with this idea. And I actually heard this from Jordan Peterson. I think it's so accurate. It's like when you're doing or not doing something, you're giving people a permission to do the same. So the big example of that is like, you know, me grinding through and like pushing through the whole Amazon thing for the past 2 years and like steadily and slowly growing it. Like I've noticed some of my friends in Chiang Mai, for example, my close friend Felipe, like actually like getting into Amazon took him a year, but he's eventually like gotten there. He's launched the product. I've noticed my friend, close friend Kiefer, who I have an interview with that I'll probably include a link somewhere around here, that you should really watch, because he's actually super early in the process. He just got started. He's making just, you know, on Upwork, he's making a couple of grand a month working for an Australian company. It's a company that he found on Upwork, you know, part-time job, and you know, it's interesting to him, and it's interesting to see how he, after I left Toronto, he would just stay in Toronto, and he spent like 4 boring months in Toronto. He's like, man, you know, one of my best friends is gone, and he's traveling. He's seeing all these photos and videos that I'm making of like growing a business and traveling, and he's like, man, I want to do the same. So he moved to Australia for a year, and then eventually got this online gig, and now he's living in Chiang Mai here with my other friends. And it's like, the more you're kind of moving forward, like don't necessarily think of yourself or think of the process, even though you should be, think of learning the process, but also think about you giving permission to others. For example, like your family. I know that pretty much all the YouTubers that I've talked to, my friend Corey, my friend Riley Bennett, who you guys might know, both of their moms are like getting into Amazon. My mom has started asking me about Amazon. They see this life that we live and they get curious and they wanna learn, and they're starting to explore this, right? How cool would it be if you just started doing either freelancing, or you got an Upwork part-time job or full-time job, and you just start traveling and you're showcasing it, you're demonstrating, you're talking about the process, as Gary Vee would say. You're talking about the continuous growth that you're experiencing and the lessons that you're learning along the way, and people learning and they're following, you know, and they're getting value from it. And it's kind of like giving them permission or giving them a kick in the ass to just like, okay, I got to step up my game and I got to do something about this too. That's something personally that I found, and I think it adds a little extra layer of motivation to do what you got to do. But I think it really all comes down to misconceptions. There's always 1,000 excuses that you can make, but I think my guess would be, and this is all judging from personal experience, is that you're looking at the final end result. Like you're just looking at where you want to be. You're not looking at particularly the next step. Like the one thing that really helps me in those kind of situations when I have to tackle a big project is to write it, the big project, and then slowly break it down into like, okay, what's like a smaller step than this? What's a smaller step than that? And then just keep breaking down to like these granular little things until you literally have, okay, just purchase Jungle Scout, just get, or Unicorn Smash or whatever, just find any app really. And it's like, okay, just purchase this app today. That's it. You go on, you purchase it. It's like, okay. And you feel momentum and you feel like you want to keep going because you've already committed. Like you sat down, you logged into your computer, your mind, your headspace is already there, but you don't have to keep going. So anything you do is an extra bonus. I think the bar needs to be set a lot lower rather than higher. So set the bar lower, and then the next day, just like, okay, I'm going to do 10 minutes. I'm going to analyze 3 different products or 3 different, you know, front page listings. Just find 3 subcategories, you analyze them. No, none of them look good, and then you can walk away. You're free to go, but you're not gonna. I promise you, you're not gonna, because once you're in the process, like you want to keep going. So I think the lack here is the kind of like the general and then also the micro step-by-step guideline. And I think that's what would make for a really good course. I think that some of the best courses that I've ever personally done, non-Amazon related, are the ones that take a big idea and they break it down to like digestible chunks. And you know, I'm sure there are really good courses on Amazon. There are a lot of really bad ones, like guys who have done 6 months or 8 months on Amazon. They can just like, they start telling you all these things. So I mentioned some of my previous videos that that's what I'm working on right now, which is like just a free YouTube step-by-step, like super detailed, you know, guideline, so that kind of take away your excuse from, okay, I'm not doing this because I don't have enough money for a course, or I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, well, I'm gonna take, what happens when I take both of those away? What happens when I give you a step-by-step guideline with all the Excel spreadsheets and documents that I personally use for product research and for launching products and the whole 9 yards, and you don't pay anything for it? Like, what happens then, you know? So I'm very curious to see, like, that's kind of my curiosity. That's my motivation, aside from, I also want to grow my network. I want to grow my YouTube channel. I want to grow my Facebook group, to have like really cool people. I want to keep meeting cool new people, because that's some of the reason why I have really good friends in Chiang Mai, is because they saw me on YouTube and they found me and they seeked me out, and that's really cool to me. Like, I really like that. Just to recap, start small, set the expectation low. You can keep trying to think 5 grand, I'll get started tomorrow, 5 grand a month, 5 grand a month, but like that's a lot. And you can spend a full year, like from today, let's say March 1st or February 20th, so March 1st, 2018 to March 1st, 2019. You can just get nothing done, just keep thinking about the big idea. Or you can do 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes every 2 days, you know, but like preferably 10 minutes a day where you can build a habit of doing that over and over and over again, and just set the bar low. Just allow, like what Jordan Peterson says, just make your bed in the morning, get that first win, you know, get something really small, a really small win, just get a small win every day. Or listen to one podcast a day, just, you know, and some people might call it procrastination, but you know what, it's better than to do something than to do nothing. And I think at some level, your inner voice will just, it'll start telling you like, hey man, you're really procrastinating. Like you're listening to podcasts instead of actually pulling the trigger. You're not following the system. You're just kind of hovering around a specific phase, whether it's researching suppliers, whether it's, I need to incorporate first, like which you don't until you have a proven product that works. You know, start small, and then also remember that once you start taking action, it's not just for you, but it's also setting an example for your super close friends, for your mom and dad, if you're younger, for your son, daughter, wife, and your close friends. The more you start doing, the more success you achieve. I mean, I keep hearing that there is a lot of resentment out there, but man, like I've personally never noticed one of my close friends just being jealous or envious of that. It's just like, dude, you're doing this, like I want to do this, how do I do that as well? So I don't know, maybe everybody has different friends. Maybe those are not the kind of friends that you should have been with in the first place, you know, the whole crabs in the bucket thing where they drag you down. Real friends will really support you. If they don't support you, maybe it's time to find better friends. But I think on a long enough timeline where that initial, you know, reaction of envy or jealousy that you might sense, I think they'll go away eventually. You just keep doing your thing. The friends, if they do end up getting jealous or envious, they'll see that that's not affecting you, and eventually they'll look inward, which has been an experience for some of my friends that I've talked about this, that haven't been, you know, as lucky to have this amazing group of guys that, you know, I came up with and we're still all going strong. You know, eventually they'll recognize that it's like, man, whether I hate or not, my friend is gonna keep doing better and better, so why don't I do better? You know, and eventually they'll change their minds to like, okay, hey, how can I do this as well? Can you help me out? You know. So that's pretty much wraps it up. I think I would love to hear your guys' comment. Like, did I miss anything? Maybe I'm looking at it through like rose-colored glasses. Maybe my experience is very different from yours. I know everybody's got a path to walk, but I would love to actually hear your story down below. Like, I always watch my comments. I always reply, especially now because my YouTube channel, I just got restarted with making videos, so I get maybe 5-10 comments per video. So I'm always free and open to reply. But I would love to hear your story and what you think about this. Is there something that I missed that's preventing you? Is there something, you know, maybe there's like a tougher case that I can address? I would love to hear different opinions. And as always, if you guys got some value, hit that like button, and then subscribe if you want to. I'm coming out with a bunch of content like this, but I really, really hope you got some value. Maybe I regurgitated a bunch of things that other people have said already, but that's it, and I'll see you guys later.